safety, you have structure, and yet you've never touched love. And you know the difference. You know what is comfort, and you know what is love. And you can BS yourself into thinking and believing that what you have there relates to love. But if there is this inner whisper that just ever so quietly tugs on your heartstrings and asks you, is this really it? You know that what you have is care, what you have is safety and structure, but you don't have love. And maybe you've never experienced love. And that's why it's so easy for you at times to shut down this silent call. This life is very much so inspired, first of all, by my own life. My whole life has revolved around love, around truth, and my whole life journey was in the pursuit of I want to meet love, even if just once. And it was worth it. It was so worth it. But this life mainly is inspired by one of the last beautiful women that saw me in Sedona. And we had such a deep experience together. And I want to paint a picture so you can resonate with this, because I know that a lot of you who are watching will resonate with that. Because I've had these conversations over and over again, and I know that so many of you are going through this internal war of, is this love? Is this comfort? Am I settling? Am I just fantasizing? Am I crazy for even thinking about letting this go, for possibly experiencing love? And there's no topic that is closer to my heart than this. And we'll unpack that in this beautiful life. The woman that saw me on Saturday was this gorgeous, graceful, just sophisticated, beautiful, aware woman, and she was in her mid-50s. The reason why I'm sharing that is because that age implies that she has responsibilities. She's a mother, grandmother, and so the man that she's with is family to her. And yet there is this silent longing that she didn't even dare to speak out loud. And it's that silent longing, that silent question of, is that really it? And it's this typical thing that I always hear, right? The rationalizing, but he's a good man and he takes care of me and he's really not a bad guy and he provides and he does all of the things. And yet something's missing. And that something is the biggest thing there is. That something is the reason for being. It's love. And so many of you use that word without having ever experienced what that really is. At least not with a man. With your children, there's unconditional love. But care is not the same thing as love. So when you say that, well, I love him or he loves me, what a lot of you really, really mean is, I care for this person and this person cares for me. And so what I see in so many relationships is this silent agreement to live comfortably next to one another, right? To not disturb each other too much. You know, everyone does their thing and everyone has their functions. You know, someone brings the money and she cooks or whatever it is, right? We all have our functions within the structure. And they might work very well. Maybe you work very well together in relationships. None of that entails love. And so many women have that same question. And it's, is it selfish for me to want that? Right? No woman comes to me and has this conversation full of deep, deep knowing, full of confidence, where she's like, I deserve that and I want that and my heart longs for that. And I will tear all of these structures apart to get that, or to even have the possibility of experiencing that. No woman comes with that inner knowing. Every woman that talks about it like she's crazy. She talks about it like she's chasing some teenage romance fantasy, and she's absolutely delusional for even having this desire. And that's the sad part. When love is not romantic, love is not emotional, love is it's foundational, it's ontological in nature. And what that means is that love is not a luxury, right? It would be selfish to consider breaking all these structures apart for a nice to have, for a luxury. But for something that is your very reason for existence, it's worth to break everything apart that isn't that. And this is where a lot of women make this big mistake because they've never truly experienced love, the field of love. They think it's this fantasy. They think it's selfish. They think it's a luxury. They think it's a childish dream. It's not. A lot of women have experienced responsibility, a deep, deep care, a nourishing, a family tie responsibility. Right? A lot of women that I've met, they're in their 60s. I work with a lot of women there that are in their late 50s, late 60s, and they had to wait until their husband died to even allow themselves to look back at their lives and see that they never really had love. Again, they had a deep care, a deep sense of responsibility, holding a family structure together, raising children, and yet their heart never stopped crying out for love. Now, it's not even a cry, it's a whisper, it's an invite. It's an invitation that is ever so silent, and for some of us it's very loud. I hope it's really loud for you. And it will consistently call you back to truth. Love is not a luxury. It's your reason for being. It's the reason for existence itself. And if you haven't touched the field of love, you've never even lived. You haven't lived yet. And yes, again, there's this unconditional love for children, for your babies. And that is one specific field of love. But the shared field of love between lovers, between man and woman, is something that nothing else can replace. And love, again, it's not emotional, it's not romantic. It's something that will undo you. It's something that will shatter every lie in your field, and it will change the way you are. It's not, I care for you. It's, I see you and I know you to the depths of your being. It's when presence meets unfiltered presence. In that moment, you've just stepped into a field of love. And that will strip every mask you've ever had. It will tear down every defense mechanism you've ever thought you needed. It'll break every heart wall you've ever created to protect yourself. It'll undo everything that is false to invite you into something that is realer than anything else in this world. That is not a luxury, my love. That is not that would be nice to have. It is your reason for existence, not a childish fantasy. Now, it's on you to decide what you want. You can live in a structure that has safety, that has continuation, that feels like you know what to expect, right? You can be comfortable in here. And for some, that is more important. It's what they choose. But do not mistake that, not even for a second, with the field of love. And love in itself, it has nothing to do with a relationship or a union. Again, just because you're in a relationship, it doesn't entail love. It entails responsibility, structures, care. Love is its own field. And you get to choose. Feeling comfort, feeling safe, and not having that love, there's nothing innately wrong with it. But don't lie to yourself. If it doesn't undo you to the very core, if it doesn't strip you of anything false, if it doesn't unmask you, it's not love. In the very field of love, you will move differently. It will not allow you to be anything but truth. And what it actually is, that longing, it's God. It's God asking you to recognize yourself in another being and the other way around. It's when awareness meets awareness. There's nothing in between. And that's the moment you come alive. That's the moment when you actually take your first breath. Anything else is a realm outside of life. If you haven't experienced love, you haven't really ever lived. And I can tell you that from my own experience. The moment I first experienced love, which was not in a relationship, it was actually after. It was with my first boyfriend, and I met him when I was 14. And we were breaking up and we were broken up. And it was complex because we've known each other since I was 14. He was my best friend. He was my family. We worked together. It was very intertwined. My best friend married his cousins. They had children together. We've created a whole family unit basically by the age of 22. He was 4 years older. And something kept telling me, this is beautiful and it isn't it. And the first time we felt this field of love was when I moved to Bangkok and he came to visit me. And there was no label. We didn't sleep together. There was no sexual interaction. We were friends, and that didn't fit the label because we were so much more. And he wasn't my ex because that didn't fit the label because there was love. And the moment I first entered that field was when there was no label left between us. And we knew that we couldn't move on like this. And we knew that the world that we live in didn't really understand what that was. And it was 5 a.m. in the morning, and he was about to fly back to Germany, which is where I'm originally from. And there was this moment, that sleepless night, and we just laid next to one another and we watched the sunrise through the window. And I remember that moment so viscerally, because in that moment, I felt love. There was a recognition between us. No words were required. It was unfiltered love meeting itself. And that was the moment a new chapter began for me. And I knew that there was something so much deeper. And I couldn't experience it with him. There was a brotherly love that I had for him. But in essence, it was just love. It had nothing to do with relationships or labels or whatsoever. And I promised myself that if I had to sacrifice this, the love I had for him and what we were, I will make it worthwhile. And I moved across the ocean in pursuit of true love and truth. And what I didn't know at that time was in pursuit of God, what's real. Because we can build a whole existence in a false realm and never even touch what's real. And so when you build a whole structure outside of love, you build a family, a business, a relationship, a union, and you build it outside of love, you will eventually have to break it down if you want the real thing. Because it's like you've built all of this, but it doesn't count. It's almost like you built this in a video game. It's not in the real realm. If the structures that you've built are not built on love and truth, you have built nothing in the real. And you've created something outside of reality. And you'll have to break this all down for the pursuit of what's true and what's real. Again, it's like a video game. You can amass wealth and you can amass all of these skill levels. They don't count in the real realm. You get to choose. You can live your whole life with this false structure that is comfortable and maybe even beautiful. You can live your whole life in that. But you're not really living. You're actually slowly withering away. It's your choice. It's not what you came into existence for, but you get to choose. And if you choose truth and if you choose love, you have to be okay with breaking all of that down, with breaking everything that isn't. And don't be illusionary. It'll hurt people. People will judge you. People will ostracize you. People will make you the bad guy. You have to be okay with that. That's the sacrifice you make. For me to experience true love, man, I had to make a lot of sacrifices, and I would do them all over again. I had to sacrifice, let go of everything that was ever dear to me, ever near to me. My country, my family, everything. Everything. And life kept continuously breaking down false structures. I was building my little castle over here, and life was like, nah, what are you doing? It's not real. Break it down. And again, I was building, and life was in. No, this isn't it. Break it down. And now, for the first time in my life, I'm experiencing what it means to build something in the real. And it was worth everything. But again, don't be mistaken. You'll have to sacrifice something. And you'll hurt people. Right? Don't be disillusioned. It's not all butterflies. You're not just going to walk away and everyone will get it. That would be beautiful. But you will meet resistance. You will meet judgment. Again, people will turn you into the scapegoat for everything that ever went wrong in their life. People will tell you that you'll never be satisfied. People will call you all these different names. You'll have to be okay with that. Or you can listen to them, to the people all around you who are all miserable, who never touched love, and who never will, unfortunately. And you can listen to them and what they have to tell you if you want to. And you can live a life just like them. Or you can do the hardest thing you've ever done, which is break apart old structures in pursuit of truth. Because what a lot of you have is an agreement to not disturb each other too much. An agreement in which care lives and love has never even entered. You don't have to be in an abusive relationship. That's not what it's about. The hardest part is to leave a good man. That is what makes you feel like you're crazy for this. So it's easy to leave an abusive, disturbed being that is breaking you down. It's easy to leave that. It's much, much harder to live in a functioning family system or in a functioning relationship or a functioning business partnership and to decide to leave that for possibly, not guaranteed, but possibly experiencing what life really is about, which is the field of love. That is hard. It's probably the hardest thing you'll do. And so many women tell me, I'm a mother. I can't leave this person. It's our family. It's our family system. And I don't share that belief. I don't share that belief. First of all, because we've all been a child. And I'm going to ask you something. Would you have rather seen true love for your mother or your father, even if it was not between them? Or would you have rather witnessed this loveless, lifeless relationship? Children are much closer to God. A child benefits so much more from seeing true love and experiencing the pursuit for what's real than witnessing a functioning, loveless union, being made to believe that this is what love is. What are you really teaching your child? And a lot of mothers use their child as an excuse. Again, there is nothing wrong with admitting it's hard, I'm scared, I feel selfish for breaking apart a family, but to say, no, I have to stay with him or I have to stay in the structure because of my children, that's a lie. That's a lie. Because from my own experience of having been a child, I would much rather see my mother and father happy, even if that means I have to live in a one-room apartment with them. But I want to see them alive. Because nothing hurts more and nothing is more confusing to watch your parents and feel like they're just functioning robots and there's nothing alive in them. That's something for you to sit with. But to consistently keep this illusion alive of I can't leave them and I'm doing this for the children, no. You do it because you're afraid. And that's okay, you can admit that. But don't tell yourself you're doing this for the children. If you've created a family and a structure and probably even somewhat of a safe haven, and you did it without love, it's okay to admit that. You had love for your children, you had responsibility for your children, and you had care, and you've been a good woman. But if you've created this structure without love, it's okay to admit that. And no matter how much love and care and work you've put into that and into your children, you'll eventually have to break that apart because it's built on a wrong foundation. Because the foundation wasn't the pursuit of true love. The union between you and the man you might be married to or who is the father of your children, was that union made on love only? And we will strip away every illusion that's preventing us to be in a field of love at all times? If that wasn't the agreement, you've built something on comfort. You've built something on, well, we'll do this together. We'll work hard. Let's not disturb each other too much. If I see that you're living out some bullshit, I'll just ignore it for the sake of false harmony. Because a lot of you have that experience. You get to choose. The purpose of this conversation is to slay and untangle. Slay is not slaying a dragon. We're untangling a belief. We're untangling something that isn't true. So the whole purpose of this live was to untangle the belief that love is comfort because it's not, and that care is love because it's not, and that it's a selfish fantasy to want to pursue love. That was my intention with this conversation. Love is ontological. Love is your reason for existence. You get to choose. You can live in comfort all of your life. And you can tell yourself that that's the right thing to do, and that's the good thing to do, and that your children need that structure, and it's more important. You can tell yourself that. And that's okay. You get to choose. But love and the desire to experience love is the desire to live truly. And you know when it's in your field. Because some of you have this fear of you will never be satisfied, and will you always question? No, you won't. Because once it's there, there is nothing left to ask for. There is no desire that needs to be fulfilled. It's all right there. There's no question mark. There's no whisper of, is there more? It's all right there. You're enveloped in it. The field of love there's nothing left to ask for. And trust me, it is there and it is real. And you can have that. Maybe not immediately. Probably not immediately. There's probably some battles to fight. And there's probably some time where you have to really stand for what you know is true. But once you touch it, and once you feel it, and once you keep this field alive with another man, another being, that there is nothing else. There's nothing else. You're there. You're home. There's nothing else to look for. There's nothing else you're searching. You won't be in pursuit of God because God's right there. That's where God lives. And it's real. It's not an illusion. And it'll make you whole. To get to experience the field of love with your lover, it'll make you whole. And you can say all this shit like, I'm whole by myself. Wait until you have that. And tell me if you still think it's the same wholesomeness. It's what we were created for. And if I can't do anything, I want you to believe in that. Because it's not a believe, it's a knowing. It's your soul calling you home. And you can decline that call if you want to. But it's real. It's not an illusion. It's not a fantasy. It's very, very real. It's actually the realest thing that there is. And then, based on that, you can build actual foundations. You can build actual structures. They will outlive you. Because they're not a house of cards that will fall apart. They're built on the most stable foundation that there is. Truth. And that is a real thing. And that is all I have for now. I love you.